Welcome to the Hockey Writers Podcast. We're your favorite THW contributors, discuss the hottest topics around the NHL and hockey world every weekday, Monday through Friday. Listen daily on iHeartRadio and wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to check out our other great content at thehockeywriters.com. I'm your host, Kyle Knopp, and today I'm joined by Matt Zator. Matt, how are you doing this beautiful Monday morning?
It's good. It's actually a nice day over in the West Coast here. So we've had a couple nice days. So I can't complain. And summer's just around the corner. So get some nice warm weather as well.
Yeah, speaking of summer, I'm out on the East Coast and we had a 92-degree day yesterday. Yeah. It was hot. It was balmy. It was miserable. So love the warm weather. Don't want it to be too hot and crazy, but it is what it is, right? So I'd rather have that than the cold of the winter right now. So all right, well, welcome to this week's Monday edition. This is our first visual edition. We're doing our Monday show on YouTube now, so welcome. Thank you for joining us, and let's get things started right away. So one of our favorite things here is our one good, one bad from this past week. So I'll kick things off, and just one good from this past week for me is just the offensive outburst in the Battle of Alberta. I mean, we had to watch the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars struggle to get goals in that first round series, and here they are. The Calgary Flames are showing what they can do when they score. And then the Edmonton Oilers said not to be outdone. They've turned it around and started scoring as well. So if you're a big fan of offense, that series has definitely been pretty amazing. So that'll be my good. What about your good this week, Matt? Do you have anything to add there?
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely the Battle of Alberta is probably the best series so far in the second round playoffs. So, I mean, it's been back and forth. Connor McDavid just keeps wowing everyone with what he can do. And so that's my good is Connor McDavid. And you know what? It's too bad that they're doing the game so late. I mean, yes, they're earlier by standards of West Coast, but the East still has to stay up for, that one game with that 7:30 Pacific, which is fine for me. But I mean, out East, it's like 10:30. So, I mean, yeah, they complain. And the thing is when that's mentioned, they're like, well, the Maple Leafs don't we give them the nice time zone, because when it's out here in Vancouver, it's 4:00.
Yeah.
They do it at 4:00 start, and we're way earlier and to make it for them 7:00. So, I mean, yeah, there's that. But to watch a guy like Connor McDavid, I mean, it'd be nice if everyone did. So, I mean, the whole East, he's just such an amazing player, and the moves that he makes. And I was like, well, how do you stop him? You can't really stop him. So no. he's just such a skilled player, and combine that with Leon Draisaitl, and it's insane to watch, and it's just great hockey. So Connor McDavid, he's so young still. He's going to be in the league for a long time, so we're going to enjoy it. And I mean, even though he's on the Edmonton Oilers, if he's not playing the Canucks, I enjoy his hockey and how he plays, because he's such an you can play any style you want too. I mean, if he wants it, finesse game, he'll play it. If you want power game, he'll play it. So, I mean, yeah, he's just an amazing player. That's my good of what he's been able to do in these playoffs. I think he has like 22 points or something already.
Yeah, 23.
And they mentioned one stat, Sidney Crosby. He had that many points throughout the whole playoffs that one year that he won the Conn Smythe. McDavid already has it in the second round. So how many points is he going to end up with if he does make it to the Stanley Cup final? It's going to be pretty amazing. So there's my good for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen anyone contribute offensively the way Connor McDavid has in quite a long time. I want to say it was probably, Mario Lemieux in the early 90s, I think, was the last one that put up 20 points in fewer than 10 games. McDavid hit it in his 9th game on Friday, and then had another big game last night to get to 23 in 10 games. So something that hasn't been done in a very long time, and he's been very exciting and fun to watch. So glad you bring him up. One of the commentators brought up yesterday how he plays a video game style of hockey where
yeah.
the puck's in his defensive zone, and all of a sudden he gets the puck and it's in the offensive zone, and there's an offensive opportunity. So, excuse me. It's been a lot of fun to watch, especially someone from the East Coast that doesn't get to watch a whole lot of Oilers games. So, another reason why we love playoff hockey. So that'll get us right over to our bad. And for me, it's the opposite. We just talked about all those West Coast teams. I want to talk about those East Coast teams being my bad this year, specifically the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Two teams that have been phenomenal this season and just cannot buy a win in the second round. For the Carolina Hurricanes, it's a win away from the PNC Arena. And for the Florida Panthers, it's just a win at all. They're down 3-0 right now with a chance to be eliminated tonight. So my bad is going to be the Carolina Hurricanes and Florida Panthers. And I have a question for you. Do the Panthers switch this to Spencer Knight tonight?
I say no. I mean, Bobrovsky hasn't been bad. I mean, we talked on the postgame show. I was talking with Jim on the postgame show last night, and we're saying, Bobrovsky hasn't been the problem. Like, you'd think 3-0, Bobrovsky's been horrible. You look at those games, he has not been horrible. It's been the Panthers' lack of offense. They can't score. I mean, you're not going to win by scoring 3 goals in the series. Like, they've scored 1 goal in each of the 3 games. That's not enough. I mean, you can't do that. Bobrovsky would have to pitch shutouts every time to be able to win. So that's a lot to ask. Bobrovsky's been good. I don't think you switch to a Spencer Knight. If he was if he was allowing 4 or 5 goals a game and looked bad on all the goals, then maybe. But I feel like you don't do that. Let him try. I mean, if they lose, they lose. But it wasn't because of their goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Last year, they switched to him tonight, thinking it was the goaltender, and he provided a little bit of a spark, but still wasn't able to get it done. This year, like you said, Bobrovsky's been playing well. So I think it's one of those, Andrew Burnett is definitely in a tough situation, but they need to do something in Florida to bring that spark about. So, who is your one bad from this past week there, Matt?
Well, I mean, it's tough, but I'm going to go with the same vein as you with the Panthers. Mostly not the team itself, but their stars. Looking at Alexander Barkov, Jonathan Huberdeau, Verhaeghe, who was a star in the first series against Washington, pretty much disappeared. I haven't really noticed him when I've watched. Same thing with Claude Giroux, who was brought in to be an extra factor. I haven't really noticed him. Sam Reinhart only scored his first goal, in the series. Their power play hasn't been good. I think they just scored their first goal of the playoffs in that game too. So I'm like, come on, you guys Tampa Bay Lightning, give them credit. I mean, they've been really stifling, and, we'll talk about unsung heroes next, but, they've been really good. So, I mean, you can't take that away. I mean, they've been a factor in that and shutting down their offense. But, you need your stars to elevate their game in the playoffs, and they just haven't. And, you're looking at how dominant they were in the regular season. You'd expect them to be at least noticeable. I mean, they haven't been. So, I mean, that's my bad. They've got to step up or they're going to be gone. And Lightning are going to be one step closer to that 3rd Stanley Cup in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you obviously nailed the point on the head. Like, if your stars aren't showing up, if your depth guys aren't showing up, you can't get it done. These playoffs, especially this year, you're not seeing many 1-0, 2-1 games, except for that Dallas Stars Calgary Flames series. And even then, I'll tell you, most of those coaches would say, we don't want to be in those types of games every night. But yeah, the Panthers are they look a lot more lost this round than they did in that first round, and that's something that not many expected. So you bring up a good point, and this is going to be a great segue into our second segment here, but we want to talk about those unsung heroes from round 2 so far. They're, like you mentioned, the Carter Verhaeghe, the Claude Giroux in the first round. Those were 2 players that really stepped up and pushed the Panthers past a surprise of a Washington Capitals team. So who do you have for round 2 so far? Who are your unsung heroes from the second round?
Well, I'm going to cheat a bit and go. I mean, I mentioned the Lightning before, but I'm going to say their ability or their willingness to block shots. And there's an unsung hero, as in a whole team. I mean, I talked on the post-game show too. It's like they're doing things that championship level teams do. I mean, the little things, those blocking shots at key times, willing to throw your body into it. I mean, guys, not just their role players. You got Steven Stamkos throwing his body in front of shots. You got, guys like their top defenseman, Eric Cernak, who does normally do that, but all their stars are doing it. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. They're throwing their body in harm's way. Stamkos had to go to the dressing room, I think, twice in that game. Yeah. It looked like he was going to be out. His hand, I don't know if his hand is even, well, it looked fine on that one timer last game. So, but, Stamkos is doing it. And you see that, you see your captain doing it, you're going to do it. So, I mean, that's as a whole. And then, I mean, Corey Perry has been ridiculous in these playoffs too. I'd say he's probably an unsung hero because, he's been so good in the past with he was with Dallas Stars, went to the final. The Montreal Canadiens went to the final. Both couldn't win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So he goes, I'm going to go to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Maybe we'll have some luck. He's contributing to that. He's not just riding the coattails. He's got 5 goals in the playoffs, got 3 in this series, 1 in each game. For me, those shot blockers and then Corey Perry. I mean, I may sound like a Tampa Bay Lightning fan right now, but they're just doing everything. Like everyone wants, okay, we want a new winner this year. But if they're doing everything they can as a championship team. If they deserve it, they deserve it, and they win it, then that's what happens. So the Lightning have been pretty impressive after almost getting kicked out in the first round by the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, no, I 1000% agree with what you said there. And I definitely have to reiterate that Corey Perry has been my unsung hero of round 2, as much as that pains me to say. He's always been one of those types of pesky players that you don't like to play against. You always hate seeing him line up against you, but if he's on your team, man, is he one of your favorite players? He really has emerged. Like you said, he was brought in, he went to back-to-back finals, lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then was brought in and took that pay cut. I mean, he could have gone anywhere, and he wanted to be with the Lightning, wanted to play in that bottom 6 role to be this kind of catalyst in their playoff push. And he really wants a Stanley Cup before his, or another one at least before his career is over. So, I mean, he was really emerged this year. Like you said, 5 goals, 1 assist. It's been playing absolutely amazing, especially in the second round. I think he's got goals in all 3 games so far, which is, as someone that is playing, the best team in the league right now, he's really stepping up. So, he's been fantastic and fun to watch. And then Evander Kane, 10 goals in 10 games. He's just cashing in on all of the great play by Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And I mean, hat trick last night, natural hat trick, all in the second period. And the goals that he scored, I mean, give McDavid credit for making the play happen, but Kane's got to have those silky smooth hands to get those forehand, backhand goals going on and those touch-ins. So, I mean, man, just talk about one of your great midseason signings and how that's been paying off. So I know we talked about him a little bit last week, but he certainly continues to produce and deserves to be, brought up as that unsung hero because he continues to do it. So,
I want to throw in Zach Hyman in that conversation too, because he's been a catalyst for the Oilers as well. I mean, he, like I was saying on one of the post-game shows too, is that he's one of those guys that's built for the playoffs. He's one of those, like, he gets it on the forecheck. He's really hard to play against. He's fast. He's skilled. He can kill penalties. He does everything for you. And Maple Leafs fans know this. They know how effective he is with star players too. And I saw one tweet which made me laugh. Is like, who said Hyman couldn't score in the playoffs? And he didn't. He didn't score in the playoffs for the Maple Leafs, and he's scoring with the Oilers. So I'm sure some Maple Leafs fans are like, "What the heck? Where was this guy in the playoffs? All these other years that we got kicked in the first round." Well, I don't know. I don't know where that guy was then, but he's sure scoring now. So,
yeah, I mean, Zach Hyman has 6 goals, 2 assists. 4 of those are even strength. 1 is a power play, 1 is a shorthanded goal. Yeah. So, I mean, unreal. He's just producing. He's scoring at the exact same clip as Chris Kreider right now, 0.080 points per game. And as someone, Chris Kreider, 52 goals coming into this playoff series and last series, he was looked at as one person that needed to lead that Rangers team. But you look at Hyman and he's on their second line and he's falls through the wayside, but he's continuing to produce. And adding that, bonus scoring line for the Oilers right now, which is huge. And especially against, the Flames, who are very potent, having that second tier of scoring is going to be really huge to get them through that into that third round. So, so any other unsung heroes you want to talk about before we move on?
At this point, no. I mean, it's Seth Jarvis has been really good for Carolina again. He's been noticeable in every game, so he could be one. But there's going to have to be more as we get going, as we keep going through the second round, because that's where the Stars the Stars seem to get shut down a lot of the time, unless you're named Connor McDavid, who doesn't seem to get shut down. But, and these guys are going to have to step up. So as the series go on, when they get to elimination games, we may have a unsung hero come into play in this tonight. Again, for the Florida Panthers or the Lightning, because both sides are going to have someone step up to either close the series or extend it. So we'll have some more to talk about next week, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. And one more I just want to throw out there. I don't know if they're unsung heroes, but a couple of goaltenders that we're kind of getting a little flack in that first round that have really stepped up. 2 for me, Andrei Vasilevsky. He's untouchable and coming off of a loss as we saw against the Toronto Maple Leafs, but now he's just taking it to a whole nother level this series and has completely shut down the Florida Panthers. And then Igor Shesterkin, another guy that was having question marks kind of surrounding him in that first round and has really stepped it up in the second round. And then in that same vein, almost Ante Ranta, he's been playing phenomenal still, even though Carolina can't figure out how to win away from PNC Arena. So 3 goaltenders that have been playing really well and are giving their teams every bit of chance to win it. I wouldn't say they're unsung heroes because all 3 of them were looked at to having a big series coming into this round, but all 3 of them have been producing what they at or better than what they were expected. So but Matt, you brought up a good point, and this is going to be a good segue into our next section, but we could be talking about an elimination game tomorrow morning's podcast. So join me tomorrow for that, because we'll see. But what are your predictions for the rest of this round 2? Do you see the Florida Panthers coming back? Can the Carolina Hurricanes win away, or is that going to go 7? And what's going on out west? So give me those predictions for round 2 there, Maddie.
All right. So for the Eastern Conference, I'll go, the Panthers, they're going to have to. I mean, if they don't, they're done. But I'm going to say the Lightning close it out tonight. They just have that, I don't know. They just have that feeling. And, I know the 4th game is always the hardest to win.
Yeah.
But the Lightning, especially Vasilevsky, he's just so good in games to close out series. And I foresee him putting up another same performance like that. And, their stars have come, they've come and stepped up at key times too. So I'm going to say the Lightning finish it tonight and do the same thing they did last year and sweep the Panthers, this time in the second round instead of the first. So And then Panthers fans will be like, we can't play the Lightning ever again because they just can't seem to beat them in the playoffs at least. So so I go Lightning sweep, and then the Hurricanes. They're tough. If they can't seem to win on the road, which is interesting. But so I'm gonna say it's gonna go 7. I'm gonna say that one's gonna go 7, and the Hurricanes will pull it out because home ice advantage. So if they keep continuing having home ice, they'll be fine. So Hurricanes in 7 there, and then on the west side, looking at the Flames and Oilers, that's going 7. I said that at the beginning. I still think it's going 7, but I'm going to go with the Oilers in 7 now. I said the Flames last time, but now that I'm just looking at how McDavid's played, and Mike Smith looks to turn the corner now with his performance last night, I really now give the edge because Markstrom has to really start getting going because he's not looked even a smidge like the Vezina Trophy winning or Vezina Trophy finalist that he was. So, I mean, unless he turns his game around drastically, and it seems like the Oilers are in his head because looking in the history, his stats look horrible against the Oilers. Like even when he was in Vancouver, he just can't stop the puck when he plays against that team. Very similar to Roberto Luongo when he's playing as Boston. He just couldn't, especially in Boston. So, I mean, it just seems like that same vibe to me. So unless he can, exercise those demons, I don't know. I think the Oilers get that, but it's still going to go 7 because this series is it's far from over. So that's 7, but Oilers, and then Avalanche and Blues. That big loss of Binnington. I mean, the Blues are now behind it, I think, and unless Husso can rediscover his form from the regular season, from that beginning part, I think the Avs have a better chance of winning now than the Blues. Blues, I was kind of giving them a little bit of the edge after that game, but now Avs are just too good. I'm going to go that they're probably going to now win in 6 or in 5. So Avs in 5 on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, losing Binnington is probably the worst blow that could have happened to St. Louis. One of those freak accidents, everyone's going for the puck. Didn't mean to happen, but just, went down, looked like it was his knee or his leg or something. Just wasn't sitting right. And now they're saying he's out for the rest of the year. So, or at least the rest of the series. If they make it on, he might be back. But I think you're absolutely right. I think without Binnington, this Blues team just doesn't get it done. And that's not to take anything away from Ville Husso. He's been a fantastic goaltender, had a fantastic season this year. But you could kind of see in that first round series that the Blues found another level, another notch under or when Binnington was behind them, and really kind of pushed them to that spotlight or to that extra level to get them through the playoffs. And now without that, that's a huge piece to your puzzle missing. So I think you're right. I think it's going to be Avalanche. I see them probably wrapping this up in 5 as well, maybe 6 if Husso just has an unbelievable game and can steal one more, but I don't see him taking any more. Out in the West, I think that Battle of Alberta is going 7 games. I think everyone was kind of expecting that and hoping for that. It's been beautiful going back and forth. Last night was a crazy game. Everyone thought they might finally hit the under, and then I don't know if they did or not, but it was pretty close. And it's and like you said, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, they can just explode at any time for numerous points production. So I think this is their year of at least getting past the second round. I think this is their year of closing that out. They look absolutely unstoppable. And like you said, Markstrom looks like he can't stop anything. So that's not a good combination out West. I'd love to see 7, but I kind of feel like Mike Smith and the Edmonton Oilers are feeling themselves right now. So I think they might be able to get this done in 6. And then on the East, I really thought Florida was going to give Tampa Bay a run for their money this year. I really thought Tampa had finally caught up with the playoff fatigue from the two deep rounds the last 2 seasons, a very tough 7 games against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and here they are poised to have an extra almost week off in the second round. So I think Florida gets it done tonight. I think they win 1 game, steal 1 on the road. But and I was going back and forth this morning as to whether I think this is the series that Vasilevsky's streak ends in terms of bouncing back from a loss, and maybe he loses 2 in a row, but that's just not enough for Florida and they get beat in 6 games. But I don't think that's happening. I think, they might steal 1 tonight, but then Vasilevsky again bounces back and makes it 18-0 after a loss on Wednesday. So I think that series will be done by the time you and I get back together next week. And I think we're going to be talking about maybe 1, maybe 2 game 7s. If that Carolina Rangers game could go either way. And I find it hard to predict that one because Carolina should be wrapping that up. And they can't win away from home, and they look like 2 different teams between being in Carolina and being on the road. So, if New York can find a way to steal 1, and they almost did on the road, they almost stole 2 of them on the road. If they could find a way to steal game 5, then New York's in trouble. So. For what it's worth, I think we're going to see 2 game 7s next Sunday, Monday. But I think 2 of those series will be cleared out by the end of that. So those are my predictions for round 2. I think, again, with most of those, it's a coin flip right now, which makes it fun. But again, it's Vegas has their odds cut out for them trying to set those over unders and trying to set who's going to be the favorite for the following games. So.
100%.
All right. Well, let's get into our final segment today. And I just want to ask you, and this could be just a quick fire answer here, but which of the remaining playoff teams, and let's have you focus on the West and I'll focus on the East because I live on the East Coast, you live on the West Coast. So I'm going to ask you this question. Which remaining Western Conference playoff team needs the most overhaul this summer?
That's a tough one because they're all here because of what their team is. I'm going to say, man, this is a tough one. I'm leaning towards the St. Louis Blues because I don't know. I think they got to figure out who they want to go forward with in their goaltending. And they can't have both because Husso will probably command a little bit more money. Binnington's gonna be hard to move. They've got a pretty good offensive core that hasn't scored much in the playoffs, especially this series. But they had 8 20-goal scorers or something like that. But of the 4 that are still remaining, I think the Blues may have the difference in one area. I think they'll have an overhaul is their goaltending. Either it be that they say, well, we get rid of Binnington and go with Husso. And I thought was going to be more of a chance before the playoffs because Binnington didn't look good. And now he's looked good. And now, he's injured. Who knows how long? If he get through this series, he may be back. I don't know how severe the injury was. They say it's a series ending. It didn't say, didn't say much more than that. So,
right. Series ending, not season ending. So
I don't know what that means. So of the 4, I'd say because the other teams seem to be pretty well rounded. The Oilers, they may again goaltending could be an issue. And have to kind of figure out in their defense. But I think for positional wise, I think the Blues for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the West is a little more easy when looking at this to determine which team kind of stands out. When I was thinking about this morning, especially in the East, I think it's really tough. And it's, of course, easy to look at the temes that are down right now. Florida is down 3-0. It's easy to look at them. But honestly, I don't think they're doing anything besides just not, besides Tampa just stymieing them and not allowing offensive opportunities. So for me, my team in the East that needs the most overhaul this summer is the Carolina Hurricanes. Specifically their defense. So their defense was, they went and tried to make some moves to bring in some defense to really kind of solidify their back end and help them in that area. But their defensive core is Jacob Slavin and Brett Pesce. And then you have Brendan Smith, Ian Cole, Tony DeAngelo, and Brady Shea, who just aren't offensive producers really. DeAngelo a little bit, but even then he's young, he's very inexperienced, and he's very high risk, medium reward type player. So he's not really the player you want back there leading everything in terms of, he's good as a power play quarterback, but when he's out there 5-on-5, he's going to get caught out of position too much. So looking at that defensive core, to me, they really need to go out and not only get another shutdown guy, but get someone who's going to be an offensive threat, but can also play a defensive game. So, to me, I think Carolina really needs to revamp their defensive core, or at least strengthen it over this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, especially if they make another round. If they get past the Rangers, they might look at that as confirmation as to what they're doing is right.
Yeah.
But however, I think, especially if they face a Tampa Bay team or even a Florida Panther team, but especially a Tampa Bay team, they're going to get exposed there on that defensive back. So
100%.
Yeah. So for me, my East Coast team would be the Carolina Hurricanes for needing an overhaul this summer. All right, now on to our last segment and one of our favorites, the articles of the day. And I will start. My article today is by Eugene Helfrich, and it is titled Tampa Bay Lightning That Got Away, Carter Verhaeghe. Carter Verhaeghe was my unsung hero in round one. He played fantastic against the Washington Capitals, absolutely just emerged as a star that, a lot of Tampa Bay Lightning fans saw when he was over there playing on the bottom six. But really, they were just so stacked, and he was going to get kind of lost in that lineup that they let him go. He went over to Florida, and he has been finding just absolute new life and has been a gem over in Florida for the last couple seasons. So Carter Verhaeghe is really emerged as one of those players that has been extremely valuable to the Florida Panthers. And really it all came down to just not having any forward movement for them on that Lightning roster. So Eugene does a great job of laying that all out. Eugene has covered the Tampa Bay Lightning for the past 5 years now, I believe. So he saw Carter Verhaeghe come up with them. He saw, what he brought to that team, and then he saw what he has meant to the Florida Panthers since he's left. So that is Tampa Bay Lightning That Got Away, Carter Verhaeghe by Eugene Helfrich. Matt, over to you. What is your article of the day?
Yeah, just on Verhaeghe, that, it's not, the thing is, the Lightning he just got squeezed out because there's so many different guys over there, and he just didn't fit in. But yeah, the Panthers, take away that second round, he's been pretty good. So, yeah. So I mean, Verhaeghe he's become a core player, I think, for the Panthers now. I mean, he's playing on their top line, I believe. Yes. So he's been really good. So my article of the day is going to the Detroit Red Wings here. This is by a veteran here at the Hockey Writers, Tony Wolak, who's, again, like I say about Eugene covering the Lightning for a while. He's covered the Red Wings for a long time. I think he was here before I started at Hockey Writers, quite a bit, I think. And this article's Red Wings rebuild, contend, or continue teardown. This is a topic that's been bandied about on Grindline, on different things. And it is a decision that, Yzerman has to make is, do you try to add guys in free agency trade to try to contend next year, or, keep going with the rebuild? Because they may not be there yet. There's varying opinions, and he does a really good job of going through the different options. He goes, Red Wings continue the rebuild versus keep going on pushing for immediate success. And he makes cases for both sides of what to do if they do continue to rebuild, by getting rid of guys like Tyler Bertuzzi, pieces like that, and to get more young pieces, because they got Zator and Raymond. That's a great start. They're going to get another great piece in this draft as well. So there's a case for both sides, because they did look really good at times this season at the beginning of the year, and they looked like maybe they could make a push for the playoffs, but then kind of fell off towards the end and couldn't win. So, I mean, they got a good goaltender in Nedeljkovic. You know what? It's hard to choose between the two, because I don't think they should tear down everything and keep going with that. I'd say stay in the middle, add some veterans, but don't go crazy. But yeah, he does a great job. So definitely take a look at that article, because it's very well laid out. And of course, if you've read his articles before, this. So, Tony does another great job of covering the Red Wings in this piece. And so that definitely check that out. It's called The Red Wings Rebuild, Contend, or Continue Teardown. And those links will be in the bottom of the description there. So definitely click on them and take a look.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a member of that grind line, we have discussed that at length. And in fact, if you go and watch our most recent episode that was dropped on Saturday, we talk about what a potential Bertuzzi trade would look like, because there is a lot of speculation that the Toronto Maple Leafs want a player like him, and he is certainly available for them to go after. Great article. Tony does a wonderful job. We picked two very experienced writers here at the Hockey Writers, and both of them do great jobs covering their teams and are always in depth with their articles. So make sure you're checking those out and checking out the other great content that we have. So, all right. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Hockey Writers podcast. Listen to new episodes Monday to Friday on iHeartRadio and wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to check out our other great content at thehockeywriters.com. From Kyle Knopp and Matthew Zator, this has been the Hockey Writers podcast.